My wife and I had a baby back in June, and ever since, a baby girl back in June, and ever since I have had the same question come up over and over in my head. Why did pink become the girly color? What is the cultural history behind that? The idea that pink is for girls and blue is for boys might feel like this age-old rule, but it's actually a relatively recent trend and one with a surprising backstory, sort of. For much of history, both colors were neutral, with children commonly dressed in practical, unisex white dresses, a sign of wealth and purity. And as industrial advances made white clothing easy to wash, the color became accessible to families of all social classes, and rich people don't really like to look like, well, not rich people. So in the late 19th century, wealthier families began to distinguish their children's wardrobes with pastels. And by the 1890s, gender-specific color recommendations started appearing in style guides, but often in reverse. Ladies' journals suggested pink for boys, considered a bold, strong shade of red associated with masculinity, and blue for girls, a more delicate and serene color. However, by the mid-20th century, these norms were flipped. After World War II, American retailers began solidifying the pink is for girls association as they marketed post-war domesticity and femininity. The inspiration for this mainly coming from this new association of red with love, therefore pink was a softer, love-inducing color. But, popular figures like First Lady Eisenhower reinforced this by adopting pink as her signature color, decorating the White House in pastels, which led Americans to dub it the Pink Palace. By 1950s, pink had become mainstream in women's fashion, home decor, consumer products, and men were left with darker tones, making pink distinctly feminine. But with parental testing in the 1980s, allowing parents to know their baby's sex before birth, retailers doubled down on the pink and blue color codes for everything from clothes to toys. Children's products became heavily gendered, with dolls, kitchens, and domestic-themed toys marketed in pink to girls, while action toys and sports gear in blue or red were aimed at boys. And this era firmly rooted pink is for girls in American culture. But in recent years, we have seen a shift, however. Movements like Real Men Wear Pink have sought to challenge traditional ideas about color and masculinity, and for many women, reclaiming pink is a form of empowerment, a way to embrace femininity on their own terms, as opposed to this sort of association with bimbo, ditzy, self-involved traits that the color had garnered with the 1980s sex icon culture. Today in fashion, we see pink embraced across both genders, really, especially with the 1980s aesthetic revival, but with children, it's still slow to catch up. While I don't think pink is for girls is quite as exclusive as it once was, I do still feel the pressure put on parents to avoid dressing their newborn baby in the wrong color because people might mistakenly misgender your baby, which... can you imagine something so horrible? Pink being for girls is, like most things in Western culture, just comes from a deep religious worship of consumerism, only held in law by our own fear of being judged as misbehaving capitalists.